The United States and the European Union have unveiled a preliminary framework for a new transatlantic trade deal, presenting what many describe as a bare-bones account of their agreement. Leaders on both sides hailed the move as a step toward strengthening economic cooperation, yet they admitted that the deal remains unfinished and that difficult negotiations lie ahead. The announcement highlights both the promise of deeper economic ties and the challenges of reconciling divergent priorities. The joint statement offered only a skeletal outline. It referred to broad commitments such as reducing certain tariffs, improving market access, and enhancing regulatory cooperation but lacked specifics on tariff schedules, enforcement rules, and sectoral agreements. Officials made clear that chapters on digital trade, agriculture, labor rights, environmental protections, and dispute settlement are still under negotiation. U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai called the framework a milestone in renewing trust and collaboration while stressing the hard work that remains. European Commission Executive Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis said the framework marks a turning point in the relationship but represents the beginning, not the conclusion. The timing reflects strategic calculations. The US and EU both face pressure to present a united front in the face of China's expanding economic influence and Russia's destabilizing actions. By showing renewed trade cooperation, Washington and Brussels aim to demonstrate that transatlantic ties remain strong despite political divisions. The framework also comes amid fragile supply chains, energy insecurity linked to the war in Ukraine, and stubborn inflation, all of which leaders hope closer economic ties can help mitigate. For the Biden administration, the announcement underscores progress in international economic leadership ahead of the next U.S. election. For European leaders, it offers a way to reassure skeptical publics that trade can be fair, sustainable, and aligned with European values. Business leaders reacted with cautious optimism. Industry groups from manufacturing to financial services welcomed the announcement, citing potential benefits from streamlined regulations and reduced barriers. The American Chamber of Commerce to the EU praised it as a vital step toward unlocking greater opportunities. Still, sectoral concerns remain. Agricultural producers worry about food standards and subsidies. European farmers have long resisted U.S. imports that do not meet EU requirements, especially genetically modified crops and hormone-treated beef, while American producers complain of EU protectionism. Tech companies also flagged unresolved issues around data privacy, digital taxation, and artificial intelligence. With the EU's strict data protection rules under GDPR and the US's more market-driven approach, digital trade is likely to be a difficult chapter. Agriculture, digital trade, climate policy, labor protections, and dispute resolution are the most contentious areas. Food safety standards and agricultural subsidies have derailed past talks and may again prove divisive. Digital trade negotiations must reconcile contrasting views on data privacy and taxation of online services. Climate issues, including carbon border taxes and green subsidies, remain unsettled. Labor rights and standards are another sticking point, with Europeans demanding enforceable protections while some American lawmakers resist binding international obligations. Finally, the design of a dispute resolution mechanism will be critical for the credibility of the deal. The history of transatlantic trade talks looms large. The ambitious Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, launched under the Obama administration, collapsed after years of negotiations amid public opposition and political shifts. That failure haunts the current process. Observers note, however, that negotiators appear to have learned lessons by starting smaller, focusing on areas of common ground, and avoiding sweeping promises that risk collapse. If successfully concluded, the deal could have global implications. It could establish new benchmarks for digital commerce, labor rights, and green technology. It could also act as a counterweight to China's trade and investment strategies across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Furthermore, alignment between the US and EU could reinvigorate the World Trade Organization, which has struggled to remain effective. By setting joint standards, Washington and Brussels could influence other economies and strengthen multilateral trade governance. Challenges remain immense. Domestic politics could derail progress on both sides of the Atlantic. In the United States, protectionist voices may resist tariff reductions. In Europe, skepticism about globalization and fears of eroding standards could block ratification. Geopolitical instability, from Russia's war in Ukraine to Middle East conflicts, could shift priorities. Economic shocks such as inflation, energy crises, or technological disruption add further uncertainty. The bare-bones framework reflects a balancing act. It is modest but symbolically significant, signaling intent to restore trust after years of friction. Success will depend on whether negotiators can transform this initial framework into a comprehensive and enforceable agreement. For businesses, workers, and consumers, the outcome could shape opportunities for decades. The stakes are high, and the world will be watching closely as the United States and the European Union attempt to move from a skeletal outline toward a full-fledged trade pact that defines the future of transatlantic cooperation.